Are you worried about getting a chemical taste on your food after using lighter fluid? Here are 3 ways to light charcoal that are faster and easier than lighter fluid. It might seem easy to take a bunch of lighter fluid and spray it all over the charcoal, light it, and go, but the challenge is in the instructions. It says that you have to let it burn until it's almost completely ashed over, and that takes a lot more time. That is to help burn off all of the lighter fluid that may have soaked into the briquettes because you don't want your food to taste like petrochemicals, so you let it burn off a little bit longer. If you mess that up, you'll end up ruining dinner. I followed all the instructions and sprayed the lighter fluid on the charcoal and then lit it. And it's not explosive like you might think it is. It's actually a pretty slow burn where it slowly spreads out over all of the coals. And that gets some of the charcoal lit, which then lights its neighbors, and after about 10 minutes the fire is going to burn off, but it's still going. After about 20 minutes, I ended up stirring the charcoal up to help the charcoal light all of its neighbors, and then after 30 minutes, it was close to that ashed over point where they said it was ready to cook. And sure, I could have used more lighter fluid to speed this up, but I didn't want to risk not burning off all of that fluid. So let's look at some alternatives. If you don't have any special equipment, you can use something like these lighter cubes to be able to light your charcoal. Or if you prefer something a little bit more natural, you could use these tumbleweeds, which are basically straw that are soaked in paraffin wax. Now both of these products are made to light and then burn for about 10 minutes. So I like to set up my charcoal in a pyramid because higher allows it to burn up and light a little bit faster. And then you take a couple of these lighter cubes or tumbleweeds and place them inside of the charcoal with a little bit of a space in between them, so that way you have 2 parts of the charcoal that are lighting at the same time. That allows it to light up a little bit faster. Then after about 15 or 20 minutes, you can move the charcoal around that's lit to be able to light the other ones, and after a few more minutes after that, the charcoal is ready to go. No lighter fluid required. But my preferred method is to use a charcoal chimney like this one. This one comes from Weber and is only $25, and it has an empty spot here on the bottom where you can put your fire starters or some oil-soaked newspaper. And then you can fill the inside of this with charcoal all the way up to the top. And the nice thing about this is because it's tall, the stuff on the bottom will light fairly quickly, and then that'll build up some heat, and then it'll snowball and light the rest of them faster and faster because the heat will rise throughout all the charcoal and get it lit pretty quick. And depending on the charcoal brand, lighting in a chimney can take between 12 and 15 minutes until it's ready to dump into your kettle and go ahead and start cooking your food. If you like your charcoal to be a little bit more lit than that, you can just leave the lid off for another few minutes. It'll be hot enough that you could sear steaks, but you don't have to take it that far if you're just doing some basic roasting. But the fastest method is either to use an electric torch or a propane torch to light your charcoal. When it comes to electric torches, I like this one from Wagner because it has 2 settings. One puts out a lot of heat because it's basically just a heat gun. That'll light the charcoal initially, and then when you get some of it lit, you can set it to the other setting, which then cranks up the fan and stokes the flames, and that will light it much faster than just using the heat alone. If you're looking for one of these, get one that has both settings. You'll really appreciate that feature. But the funnest method is definitely to use a propane torch, and it lights faster than the electric counterparts. Something like this grill gun or a weed torch that you could get from your local hardware store will light most of the charcoal in just a couple of minutes. And then you let it sit for about 10 minutes total, and the charcoal's lit and totally ready to go for your cook. If you don't already have a charcoal chimney, you really ought to buy one for $25. It's well worth the investment. If you need to learn more about it, I have this video. It's a beginner's guide to using a charcoal chimney. If you use that, you'll never go back to lighter fluid.